Welcome to this special edition of California City's Community Report. I'm Dennis Arcuri. It seems, at least to most of us, the California power crisis is over. That is, until the bill arrives. And is it true it's over? We've been working on a story for some time, trying to determine if any good has come from all the statewide energy chaos. Here with a special report is Janet Ralt.
2 years ago, in the midst of rolling blackouts and power shortages, we brought you the story of a company preparing to brave the energy shortages in California and the moratorium California's strict regulations were imposing on power plant construction. For over 10 years, no construction activity had been seen, and Californians were suffering the consequences. The Blythe Energy Project and its parent company, Caithness, were the first to step forward to help solve California's energy shortage. Caithness has been a leader in developing renewable sources of energy, which include wind, geothermal, and solar. Blythe 2 mirrors those efforts by utilizing, as does Blythe 1, state-of-the-art natural gas fire generating systems. With Blythe 1 just coming online, the expectation of Blythe 2 is good news for Blythe, Riverside County, and all of California.
When we had the energy crisis, we found ourselves in a very awkward position, and that we were extremely short of power all over the state of California. So we expedited the permitting process to allow these various companies to build plants around the state of California, and this project in Blythe was one of them.
This power plant will be clean, will have no ill health effects, and will replace ultimately some of the dirtier operating power plants that are now serving loads in the region. These older fossil-fired power plants will eventually be retired because they cannot compete economically and they cannot compete with the environmental regulations that are currently in place in the United States. And this area has traditionally not had any generation, so the loads have all been served by long transmission lines. And we felt that the development of an energy center here just outside of Blythe would be a logical way to meet the energy needs long term, now and in the future.
Siting power plants is something that requires an extensive amount of background and research and 3 years worth of meetings and travels and visiting sites that were under construction and visiting sites that were in full operation. In that 3+ year period, I learned a lot.
The biggest impact that Blythe Energy 1 has had on the city of Blythe so far is that it's pumped a little over $1 million a month into the local economy. In our service industry, that being our hotels, motels, and our restaurants. During this construction of the past 18 months, we've seen a significant increase in their sales tax, up some 27%.
Motel industry was really suffering in town. There were a lot of businesses were talking about selling or closing out and all that, but the energy project has really helped our occupancy a lot, a whole year. Almost all the hotels in town were packed.
The plan itself created 20 new jobs, and that's going to be on the operation side. But they're going to be outsourcing a lot of their services that plant's going to need, from landscaping to janitorial service.
One of the big things about the Blythe Energy Project, and it starts with the construction phase, they made a noticeable effort to qualify and hire local people to work on the construction of their facilities.
Blythe, for the most part, had a high pool of unskilled labor, which made it difficult for us, being on the city side and with our developers as they would come in to do things, is getting that skilled labor pool. And with Blythe Energy Construction, a lot of the labor unions then made a presence here, attempted to hire people in and get them into the union, getting started with their skills.
Local Union 440 gave me an opportunity to join their apprenticeship program as a fifth-year apprentice. I received 2 semesters of training, and in June 2002 turned out as a Journeyman Wireman. And just to let you know, these credentials, I believe, helped me obtain a full-time employment at Blythe 1.
And infrastructure, quite frankly, is a way a city lives and dies.
Blythe is an old community, incorporated in 1916, and I think one of the first things they did is put in the infrastructure. It's old. It's very old, and it needs to be upgraded, and it needs to be repaired on a lot of fronts. And not surprisingly, the big problem with that is finding a funding source. Well, Blythe Energy and their inclusion in a redevelopment project area is going to be that funding source and will be over the next 40 years. And that's just a hugely significant benefit to this community. It's the county and the city, and we're partners on this redevelopment area, but the money will stay here. And certainly that was possible only because of the support of Supervisor Roy Wilson.
It's going to be a boom for the community of Blythe in the Palo Verde Valley. One of the things that has been done, the county and the city of Blythe have been working together on capturing the tax increment, the increased property value, and we're going to direct that toward improvements in the nearby community of Mesa Verde.
Mesa Verde is a very distressed community. It has a lot of needs. It needs basic infrastructure like sewage and drainage, and has a lot of substandard housing, and it has a major need for water infrastructure. And we believe that some of the RDA tax increments that's going to come from Blythe 1 and Blythe 2 is going to provide a stream of funding for some of the improvements that that community needs.
As the city did its due diligence in evaluating the environmental impacts of the plant locally, water was one of the issues that was a button with us. We have the Colorado River that is fed by the lower Colorado River Basin, and as long as that river's there, the groundwater here is not compromised. The hydraulic studies were done that show that the groundwater is not going to be impacted in a negative way by the power plant or plants.
The power plant, put in perspective, is using 1% of the water resources to the Palo Verde Valley and providing almost 100% of the benefit. It's about the best bang for the buck for an acre-foot of water that you can get. The Blythe Energy Project and then our proposed Caithness Blythe 2 project are state-of-the-art power plants using technology to maximize the efficient use of water and minimize the overall consumption. We're treating this water, we're reusing this water till we get it down to just the very solid elements, and it is a zero discharge site, meaning that we don't ever discharge any water off site. This is the model plant for the state of California in a region where we're struggling with the use of water and what we should be using, how should we be allocating our water resources. And we believe that this is a very efficient use for the amount of megawatts that we're producing.
Another issue of concern was the smoke out of the stack.
The Blythe Energy projects are using state-of-the-art air emissions technology, and this is a combination of developments in the industry as well as technology on the back end of emissions. We are an order of magnitude below current power plants that you see operating in the area. A typical coal plant might emit anywhere from 30 to 40 times the amount of emissions that will be coming out of our power plants for the same amount of generation. It is not hazardous. It is below all of the EPA air emissions limits that have been established, as well as all of the state of California, which are even more stringent than most of the rest of the nation.
We got to walk up there and put the hand on the side of that thing and see how quiet it is, and no vibration, and just absolutely idling along, producing megawatts of energy and a good neighbor to the community. And that's what the three of us had in mind, to make sure that we saw a plant that was running, that was not being an impact in any negative way to their community, and that's what we saw.
I think it's really important that when a company where you inject 400 to 450 people into a community of 10 or 12,000, it's very, very important to become a good neighbor. We've bought all of our lumber locally. We've bought all of our ready-mix concrete locally. We've employed security services. We stay at all the hotels. We eat out.
It's been my experience with the people I've dealt with from Blythe Energy that they are truly interested in what is going on in the community.